and polished a few phrases for better English flow. Part 1. Adapted novel content. I found a woman on the side of the road, poisoned and delirious. She clung to my neck, pulling me down, and we spent the night tangled together in a feverish haze. I knew exactly who she was, of course. She was the only female arch-valkyrie in the High Citadel. When the Celestial Guard finally rescued her and restored her memories, she looked at me with absolute indifference. Caleb Vance is nothing but a lowly hearthkeeper. He dared to take advantage of my vulnerable state and defile my divinity. His crime is severe. She paused, her voice icy. However, considering he saved me from a perilous fate, I grant him a millennium of ether to settle this karmic debt. She flicked her sleeve and ascended back to the citadel. After she left, I couldn't help but devour a whole basket of ceremonial fruit, gleefully grabbing the long beard of Old Man Jenkins, the local earth spirit. I'm just a blue-collar worker, but finally, I can get promoted to a high ascendant and move into the citadel. Every full moon, Seraphina Sterling would recline on her chaise, her gaze like water as she watched me. I knew her elite Golden Guard captains were coming tonight to discuss strategy. She wore sheer silk, one shoulder bare, her pale arm lifting a cup of ambrosia. Her red lips parted slightly. "Caleb, come here." I swallowed hard, walking to her side like a moth to a flame, and downed the cup she offered. Seraphina leaned in, kissing the wine from my lips. Our breath mingled. In the heat of the moment, I couldn't help but bite her earlobe. Those armor boy toys called themselves Divine Guardians, but their boss had been mooching off me for years. I've been eaten out of house and home, literally and figuratively. So why hadn't they picked her up yet? After the deed was done, Seraphina thought I was passed out drunk and rose to leave. Joke's on her. As the hearth, handling high-proof spirits was part of the job description. I slapped an invisibility sigil on myself and followed her. "Hi, Commander. We have informed the Oracle of your temporary power loss. The elixir is ready. You will recover shortly." A pause. "As for this hearthkeeper, how shall we dispose of him?" I heard Seraphina's voice, cold and devoid of emotion. "He is nothing but a lowly hearthkeeper. He dared to take advantage. Grant him a millennium of ether to settle this karmic debt." The pale moonlight wrapped around her, restoring her to the terrifying majesty of a war goddess. There was no trace of the woman who had begged for my touch moments ago. Eyes red-rimmed and voice trembling. They continued whispering, but I stopped listening. I wiped a tear from my eye. Tears of joy. If the punishment was 1,000 years of power, punish me day and night. I was a good modern American guy until I got sucked into this book. I had accidentally stumbled upon a novel titled The Valky's Dominion. It was tagged as tragic romance, but halfway through it turned into a massive female lead reverse harem fantasy. While I was furiously leaving a 1-star review, I blinked and woke up as a D-list background NPC. Seraphina was the protagonist, the Citadel's only female warlord, a figure who gathered admirers wherever she went. No one knew her origins, only that she had existed since the dawn of the realms. The book described her as breathtakingly beautiful, a woman who would be swarmed by suitors if not for the terrifying silver spear she wielded. In the story, Seraphina was bitten by an abyssal beast while fighting the demon lord. She fell from the sky, lost her memory and power, and was picked up by the hearth Caleb. The original Caleb was a grinder obsessed with climbing the corporate ladder to the citadel. But when a gorgeous woman fell from the sky, he threw his ambitions away. He burned through his savings and energy to heal her just to see her smile. Basically, the guy was thirsty. Soon, Seraphina regained her memory, played along with him for a bit, tossed him some power and left. Then came her journey of leveling up and collecting handsome men. But the NPC Caleb didn't know his place. He tried to follow her to the citadel to find his wife. He barely stepped through the golden gates before a guard skewered him for being a traitor. Game over. I cried into my pillow reading it, expecting a redemption arc, only to realize the original Caleb was just a stepping stone for the heroine and her harem. If it were me, I'd take the power and run. With 1,000 years of ether, I could fly anywhere, date anyone. Why die for a heartless goddess who didn't even remember his face? In the real world, that's all being a side character. Besides, in her harem, Caleb wouldn't even make the waiting list. I'd slam my phone down, write a 10,000-word rant on Reddit, and boom, white light. I became Caleb. So when the sky turned black and lightning tore through the clouds, I was hiding in the local shrine, gossiping with Old Man Jenkins and eating his tribute fruit without a shred of guilt. The next second, a body crashed through the roof and landed in front of me. Jenkins, having seen everything, brushed the dust off the person's face, yelled, "It's the war goddess," and vanished into the ground, shouting that she started it. Fate really wanted us to meet. I looked closely at the figure in the rubble. The book's description was too modest. Loose dark hair, trembling lashes, bitten lip, and bruises blooming on her skin. Audacious goddess messing with my zen. I pinched my thigh hard, threw her over my shoulder and muttered, "Career first. Focus on a career." Seraphina's lashes fluttered. She opened her eyes. I shoved my face into her view, grinning like a used car salesman. "Miss, you're awake. I saved you. Where is this? Who am I?" She blinked, looking around my cabin. "This is my house. I found you injured nearby. I'm the hearthkeeper, Caleb. I saved you. It cost me 90% of my power." Seraphina nodded. She was probably still groggy. I repeated that I was her savior several times, but she didn't react. I coughed loudly. If you hadn't woken up, I might have had to use the last of my essence. I hadn't, of course. I used maybe a century's worth. The rest I scammed off Old Man Jenkins, but I had to sell the narrative. Seraphina swayed, her eyes widening as she grabbed my hands. "Really? How can I repay you? I have no home, no money. I only have this body." Cough cough. I choked on my own spit. Typical reverse her protagonist. The repayment trope was right on schedule. Only this body can do work. Laundry, cooking, I can do it all, she finished. I rubbed my nose, embarrassed. My bad. Amnesiac Seraphina was innocent and kind. I wasn't a total scumbag. I just hoped that after I healed her, she'd remember my dedication and tip me extra ether. We lived in a cabin for a while. I thought the plot would follow the book. But one night Seraphina climbed into my bed. She peeled back the covers, her hair cascading like a waterfall, and wrapped her arms around my neck. The next second she was kissing me fiercely. My 2 lifetimes of bachelorhood ended right there. But as I shivered I thought, "Hi, Commander. If you get your memory back, please remember you forced me. I didn't harass you. Initially, I just wanted to nurse her back to health. But one thing led to another. Even without her power, her divine scent attracted every monster within 10 miles. They all wanted to bite the goddess. Poor amnesiac Seraphina was a total damsel. She'd giggle and pull a monster's whiskers instead of running. As a low-level hearth, I spent my days screaming internally while dragging her out of monsters' jaws. I wouldn't admit I was too weak to fight them. Every time she'd curl in my arms, eyes full of adoration, sobbing, "Thank you, Lord Caleb." Until one escape. A greater beast poisoned her with a potent aphrodisiac. Normally, a god could resist it, but the beast had forced gallons of the stuff down her throat. When I found her, she was delirious, eyes red, grabbing my hand and pressing it to her stomach. "Lord Caleb, it hurts. Rub it." Her voice trembled. I swallowed hard, my face burning. Career first. Career first. I pulled my hand away and buried my head in the stove, ignoring her cries of, "I need you. I need you." Good Lord, I was a law-abiding citizen. If Seraphina regained her memories and found out I took advantage of her vulnerable state to ruin her purity, she'd probably hang my corpse from the Golden Gates. I flinched at the thought, but she was already barefoot, stumbling toward me. If I didn't help her, the energy buildup would kill her. I gritted my teeth. Fortune favors the bold. If my sugar mommy died, I'd get nothing. I materialized in front of her, and she immediately sealed my mouth with hers. We spent the night entangled, her wet whispers of "Caleb, Caleb" filling my ears. Ever since that night, it was like a switch flipped. Having tasted the forbidden fruit, she couldn't get enough. She would blink those big eyes, mimicking that night, whining softly about a stomach ache and asking for a rub. I kept my eyes on the floor, chanting career first under my breath. It wasn't that I couldn't perform. I just couldn't afford the consequences. Who knew an aphrodisiac would unlock her reverse harem protagonist appetites early? One night, she poured several jugs of strong liquor down my throat and crawled into my bed, straddling me, insisting she needed to take care of me. Indeed, in a reverse harem novel, care meant something very specific. I sighed. Honestly, the original Caleb was just an NPC. Compared to the muscle-bound golden guards or the handsome fox spirits of the Citadel, I was nothing. I was just a convenient tool. A momentary distraction for the supreme war goddess. Thinking this, I stopped resisting and flipped her over. I needed to have the self-awareness of a tool. Maybe she'd tip me well later. Of course, her stamina was ridiculous, but we fell into a rhythm that felt like a real marriage. During the day, I'd visit villagers, exorcising minor bad luck for snacks. Serafina hated being apart from me. She'd pout and drag on my arm. She loved playing a mortal wife, walking hand in hand through the market, leaning on my shoulder, begging for a wooden charm, even leaving a hickey on my neck regardless of the stares. The neighborhood gossip pointed fingers, but old man Jenkins just laughed, calling me the warlord's husband, saying he didn't need repair money for his shrine, just a wedding red envelope. I told him the truth. When she gets her memory back, I'm skipping town. So the morning she stared at me with ice-cold eyes and threw the wooden charm on the floor, I knew she was the war goddess again. During the day, she recoiled from my touch. At night, she rolled herself into a burrito and banished me to the guest room, warning me to watch my limbs. I had a moment of delusion. Could we stay in this village? But her glare told me that saying my name was like gargling sewage to her. Phoenix, heartless woman. Once I get my power, I'll travel the world. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Sadly, her power hadn't fully returned, likely fearing the demon lord's detection, so we were stuck together. She occasionally had to sleep with me to stabilize her energy. She'd lie there, body trembling with pleasure, but face like stone, acting like she was enduring torture. Lady, just knock me out if you hate it so much. When she finally left one night, I followed. The next morning she was gone. I walked out to find her decked in celestial armor, surrounded by the Golden Legion. The soldiers knelt, shouting, "Welcome back, High Commander." The sheer pressure of their aura forced me to my knees. I clutched the wooden charm. I tried to retreat to the cabin, but she saw me. She waved a hand, dragging me forward. The pressure crushed my chest. Was she trying to kill me? Scumbag. We had 100 days of marriage, and you can't spare my life. I slammed my forehead into the dirt. Welcome, High Commander. I didn't dare look up. Caleb, you a mere hearth dared to defile me. But considering you saved my life, I grant you a millennium of ether to end this karmic debt. I wept with joy, wiping my eyes, suppressing the weird ache in my heart. Thank you for sparing my life. I promise to avoid you forever. I won't dirty your eyes. Silence. I looked up, grinning like an idiot. She huffed, tapped my forehead, and a massive surge of power infused with her scent flooded me. It was too much. I passed out. Vaguely, I saw her fly away without looking back. The wooden charm lay in the dirt before my eyes. Like me, it was trash compared to the divine. I was stupid to catch feelings. Dr. Vance, do you think my wife can conceive? A gargoyle spirit and his fox shifter wife looked at me anxiously. I stroked my fake beard, checking her pulse. Difficult. Very difficult. The gargoyle slid a gold bar across the table. I squinted. I've never seen a case like this. Another gold bar. However, since you came to me, I will do my absolute best. I swept the gold into my pocket and handed them a black pill. It was just a condensed vitamin ball with a drop of ether, but it worked wonders. It had been 100 years since Serafina left. With my new power, I ascended to the Citadel but kept a low profile as a freelance immortal. I visited the Moon Palace to check out the scenery, sneaked into the Demon Realm for booze, and opened an infertility clinic on the border of the realms. The black pill business was booming. The border was chaotic, but the low lives were friendly. I was biting a gold ingot to test its purity when the snake spirit next door leaned over. Dr. Vance, did you hear? The war goddess killed the demon lord a few days ago. They say she was injured for years but came back for revenge. Now the demon realm has surrendered, and all the incubi are begging to join her. I pocketed the gold. The plot was moving fast. She'd conquered the world and was now building her empire. Depressing. I tossed the snake spirit back into a shop and lounged in my chair. Doctor, consult not open. I'm rich. I make my own hours. I can pay 3 boxes of gold. I scrambled up. Who hates money? I grabbed the patient's wrist. Why didn't your husband come? This takes 2 to... He's here. A cool, familiar voice said. I looked up. A stunning, familiar face smiled at me. Holy crap. I grabbed my money bag to run, but she clamped a hand on my arm. Dr. Vance took my money and now he wants to run. She raised an eyebrow. Run? Yes. Hi, Commander. If he can't get pregnant, it's probably because you have 3,000 boyfriends. What can a quack like me do? Serafina smiled terrifyingly. My legs turned to jelly. I sat back down and took her pulse. She tapped the table. Caleb, long time no see. Did you think I was a ghost? No. Just so happy to see you. I forgot my manners. I wiped sweat from my forehead. Her eyes scanned me like I was a piece of meat. After a moment she asked, what is the diagnosis? What was I supposed to say? As my brain scrambled for a lie, Serafina reached out and slowly caressed my cheek. I squeezed my eyes shut. 100 years ago I had a husband. Unfortunately, he was a liar, she whispered. As for why I haven't conceived, perhaps it is his fault. Why don't I go to Dr. Vance's home for a thorough examination? Excuse me? Insult me all you want, but don't insult my swimmers. I pressed my lips together. Fine. Rank has its privileges. I clutched my money bag, plotting my escape. Snap. She clicked her fingers. Golden guards appeared, grabbed me, and bam. We were back in the old cabin. I stared. The place was spotless. The peach tree was blooming, but inside the tension was thick. Serafina sprawled on the bed. Caleb, water and sweep the floor. I see dust. I'm hungry. Cook something. I thought we settled the debt. Why are you haunting me? Surely she wasn't recruiting me for the harem. I held a broom in one hand and tea in the other, furious but physically outmatched. I slammed a bowl of terrifying black porridge in front of her. I command you, my cooking sucks. You should go back to the Citadel and let your demon boy toys feed you grapes. She chuckled, picked up the bowl and downed the toxic sludge without blinking. She wiped her mouth on my sleeve. This porridge has upset my stomach. I'll have to stay the night so the doctor can monitor me. What? I widened my eyes, attempting to poison a war god. She smirked. No problem. Stay as long as you like. She nodded and stripped off her outer robe, rolling into my bed. I reached out, then pulled back. That's my bed. She probably forgot which room was which. I turned to leave the guest room. Dr. Vance's porridge was potent. My stomach hurts. Me? Stay here tonight, lady. Please kill me if you want, but don't torture me. I grabbed a blanket and huddled in the corner. Silence fell, but I felt eyes on me. I opened mine. She was watching. I closed them. She was still watching. I will endure. Stomach hurts. Come rub it. PTSD kicked in. But she was the war goddess now. I shuffled over and gingerly touched her stomach. The next second she pinned me to the mattress. I lay like a log. She hugged me from behind, hot breath on my ear. Is the herm not enough? Her arm tightened around my waist. Felt familiar. My eyelids grew heavy. Before I drifted off, I felt her bite my earlobe, kissing down my neck, murmuring, Caleb, I made you wait. The next morning, sunlight hit my face. I woke up to find Serafina propped on her elbow, grinning. Awake! I bolted upright. Dad, you've been watching me sleep. She slid her hand in my shirt, drifting down my chest. Caleb, come back to the Citadel. Be my husband. I panicked and grabbed her hand before it went south. What? She paused. Come back. There's a government vacancy. Pays well. Pays well. My ears perked up. She suppressed a smile. Very domestic of you. The weaver's red strings are tangled. We need to attempt to untie them. Great benefits. Much safer than being a quack doctor. I looked at her suspiciously. Why me? Maybe because she almost killed me when she recovered her memories. She continued. Besides, I ate your porridge. I need to keep you close in case I die. That sounded like her. She just wanted to mess with me. But the money, being a freelancer was unstable, and having a goddess owe you favors was good leverage. Tie this string to your wrist. That's lesson 1. The weaver, an old man with a moon-shaped face, handed me a red cord. I tied it and knotted it tight. A red light flashed and the knot vanished. Did I pass probation? I asked, waving my wrist. The weaver burst into tears, hugging me. Finally, someone tied it. Boo-hoo. It was just a knot. He shoved a box of jewels into my hands. Congratulations. Wedding, bonus signing bonus. I opened the box. Gold gems score. Serafina had dumped me here immediately. The weaver looked at me with pity but kept me on. It was good to have connections. I spent my days untangling fate threads. High salary, easy work. One day, I walked out of the weaver's palace and saw Serafina waiting, smiling. I prepared about my sugar mommy, but she hugged me tight. Hey, not in public. One of your harem members might stab me. I pushed her away. The junior clerks were whispering. She scattered rose petals with a wave and teleported us to the war god's palace. The guards knelt. Congratulations on the wedding. You got married? I asked. She just smiled. Maids rushed out. Congratulations, master. The feast is ready. I pointed at myself. She took my arm. Husband, let's go in. I clutched my robes. I'm not your husband. The maids giggled. Master, change into the robes. The High Commander's red string sat at the weaver's for 1,000 years. No one dared touch it. You tied it yourself. It can't be removed. I rolled my eyes back, nearly fainting. I was an upstanding, law-abiding citizen. How'd I get scammed into a marriage? They forced me into red wedding robes. You get Serafina? I yelled. She walked in wearing matching red. Husband, don't rush. We'll drink the wine soon. She looked soft, radiant, almost domesticated. If we were alone, she'd probably be cuddling me. Honey trap, I shouted. You tricked me. You lured me here to tie your red string. Serafina shook her head, walking slowly toward me. Husband, how can you say that? You tie the string yourself. Did you not eagerly seek to marry me? Slander, gaslighting. When did I ever actively seek to marry her? No wonder the weaver and those little cherubs looked at me with such meaningful grins. It was my own greed for money that sold me out. Serafina stepped forward, wrapping her arms around my waist. She blew gently into my ear, then stood on tiptoes to nibble at my neck. The maids covered their blushing faces and scampered out. Look at this loose behavior. Who knew how many handsome men in this palace she'd married before? How many people had she called husband? A pang of jealousy hit me. If I really married her, wouldn't I be fighting for attention every day? Would I have to fake faint or stage dramatic poisoning attempts just to compete with her demon boy toys? I would probably end up pushing Serafina into a pond out of spite. I pushed her away, enunciating every word. I do not want to marry you. The moment the words left my mouth, her eyelashes fluttered. Her face went pale, contorted as if in immense pain. She gripped my wrist, revealing the glowing red string. Do you know this string cannot be removed? Once worn, we must marry. There was a tremor of tears in her voice. I gritted my teeth, turning my head away, refusing to look at her. Suddenly, a gale-force wind erupted around her. Outside, thunder roared and lightning cracked. The peaceful sky of the citadel turned pitch black. Serafina reached out, pinching my jaw, forcing me to look at her. I stared into her scarlet eyes. I was terrified, but I stubbornly shot back. But I don't want to. Serafina squeezed her eyes shut. A single tear rolled down her cheek. My heart gave a sharp, painful throb. I wanted to say something else, but in the next second, she couldn't hold it back anymore. She coughed up a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the floor. Caught her. Her red wedding robe was already soaked in blood. The color had hidden it until now. This wasn't a pity ploy. She leaned close to my ear, whispering deliriously, No, no, you have to marry me. Maids were rushing in from outside, but Serafina gripped my hand in a death lock, refusing to let go until she lost consciousness. I leaned against the pillar outside the chamber. Divine healers and maids rushed in and out. From their whispers, I gathered she had been critically injured for a long time. But if she was injured, why go to the border to find me? Why force a marriage when she could barely stand? And how could the invincible war goddess be hurt this badly? A healer stepped out. I grabbed his sleeve. How did the High Commander get hurt? Perhaps because I was the cause of a relapse. The healer rolled his eyes at me. Consort, the commander has been fighting the demon lord for 100 years. She took countless injuries. She killed the demon lord recently, but was gravely wounded. She barely managed to get out of bed before running off to the border to find you. Do you think she had time to heal? The healer's voice was full of resentment. You need to bite me. I swallowed. Didn't she have time to recruit a harem of demon lovers? The healer turned purple with rage. His beard practically flew up. Rumors. Filthy rumors. Our commander is chaste. There hasn't been a man in this palace for centuries. Aside from old staffers, she ignores everyone. You reject a woman like her. You need your eyes checked. I laughed awkwardly. I had misunderstood her. My heart was pounding against my ribs. A strange joy was trying to break through the guilt. But if she sought me out despite her injuries, why was she so cold today? She regained her memories. I decided to ask. We needed to clear the air. I sat by the bed watching her sleep. Without the makeup, she looked pale and fragile, brows furrowed in a nightmare. I reached out to smooth her forehead. What are you thinking, Sarah? If you like me, why be so cold? If you don't, why risk your life to find me? Did she really spend 100 years cleaning that cabin I never returned to? I traced her eyes, her nose, her lips. Suddenly, she caught my finger in her mouth. She swirled her tongue around it. My face instantly boiled. I tried to pull back, but she grabbed my wrist. So, have you learned how to be a husband yet? I felt wronged. You were pretending to be asleep. You lied to me again. Serafina didn't get angry. She laughed softly, pulled me down, and wrapped herself around me like an octopus, resting her head on my shoulder. Husband, if you have grievances, I can explain. She reached under her pillow and pulled something out. It was the wooden charm I had thrown away in the dirt a century ago. You like me. My nose stung. I decided you were my husband back in that cabin. I took the charm. Then what about the golden guards? The demon boys? She looked genuinely amused. She bit my neck, her voice husky. Never. Otherwise, why would I visit an infertility clinic? I blushed furiously and covered her mouth. Don't talk about that. It was fine when we did it, but saying it out loud makes me want to move to another dimension. I looked into her eyes, which seemed to hold the stars. Then why? Why were you so cold when you got a memory back? You almost killed me with that pressure. Serafina was silent for a few seconds. She cut my face and kissed my cheek. Do you believe me? I nodded. That day I regained my power. But the demon lord who had been hunting me would have sensed it immediately. If they knew you were my weakness, you would have been a target. I couldn't protect you 24/7. I had to pretend to be heartless. I gave you the ether to protect you, intending to come back once the demon lord was dead. I nodded. That made sense. But what if the ether wasn't enough? What if I was in danger? She played with my hair. My essence is inside you. It acts as a live feed. A live feed. I'm home. Eating, sleeping, showering. I saw it all. I forced a polite smile, so she installed a spy cam in my soul. 0 privacy rights. Seeing my silence, she grinned sheepishly. Husband, we're an old married couple. It's normal, right? I nodded slowly since she was powerful enough to have a psychic surveillance system. Why the rush to marry? Why the dramatic roleplay? She seemed to read my mind. She pouted, snuggling into my chest. Dr. Vance, I haven't been pregnant in so long. I brought my husband. It must be his fault. You can't take the fee and not do the work. The next second, she tackled me onto the mattress. Epilogue, I am Serafina Sterling, High Commander of the Citadel. Before I met Caleb, my only purpose was protecting the realms. I never thought I'd marry. That day, I fell from the sky and was saved by a lowly hearthkeeper. When I regained my memories, I realized I had lost my purity to him. We had lived as man and wife. I was furious, but without my full power, I had to hide from the demon lord. I kicked him out of bed, but watching the light fade from his eyes hurt my heart. I couldn't love a mere spirit, could I? He had no status, no power. I could crush him with a pinky, but my eyes kept following him, chopping wood, cooking, bringing me water. The thought took root. Maybe staying like this isn't so bad. When my legion found me, I had to make a choice. I threw away the charm to push him away. I spoke cruel words to save him. I wanted both my duty and my love. But at that moment, I had to sacrifice Caleb's feelings to save his life. I gave him a millennium of my own essence. My lieutenants argued against it, warning I wouldn't be strong enough to fight the demon lord. But I'd already broken his heart. I couldn't let him be defenseless. I needed to watch over him always. Later I went back for the charm. I paid Old Man Jenkins to maintain the cabin. I fought the demon war for 100 years. I won, but at a great cost. Broken and bleeding, I didn't care. I just wanted to find my cheap husband to trick him into coming to the Citadel. I pretended to be drunk and raided the Weaver's palace, tangling all the red strings into a mess. I threatened the old man. Caleb had to be the one to untie my string, and he had to tie it to himself. I lured that money-grubbing ghost to our wedding with a few boxes of jewels. As for the future, he has to take responsibility. New goal: a basket full of baby herekeepers. Story complete.